Hello, everybody. I am Gila Zach, certified hypnotherapist, and I just got out of a session with a client right over there in that chair. And I taught her this technique to deal with the overwhelm, the stress of uncertainty, of unpredictability, just the dumpster fire, the shit show that's going on in the outside world and how that's being reflected in her inner world. And I just decided, you know what, I'm going to make a video on this because everybody could use it. I'd use this with clients all day long, and I'm going to teach it to you now. Now, I call this technique, this process, thought ball. And it goes like this. You know, thoughts are things. They're like this ball. You can pick them up, you can put them down. Thoughts can come in really quickly. They're there, and the next thing you know, you're ruminating and perseverating. You're feeling all the feels about that thought. Or you could just be going about your business, and all of a sudden that thought floats on through, and you pluck it out of the thin air, and there it is. You're back to it. You're in it and spinning. You can be feeling just fine about everything, and next thing you know, you're having a conversation with someone and they say something and the thought just comes right back at you. Now, it is a law of the mind that two opposite emotions and feelings cannot be felt at the same time. It's impossible to feel totally calm and totally stressed at the same time. It's impossible to feel really, really tense and really relaxed at the same time. So I'm going to invite you to consider that if thoughts are things, that thought in and of itself only holds the value of feeling that we give it. A thought in and of itself is neutral. You learned how to feel a certain feeling about that thought. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to bring a thought up. Just bring a thought up. Any thought. I don't know if it's about the dumpster fire, the shit show, or the insecurity, the worry, the fear. Just bring up the thought. And as you do, you're going to start to notice that you're feeling it. All the feelings that you associate to that thought are there, and they're inside the thought ball. Here's where I want you to be a mind magician. Play along with me, okay? I want you to put a hand over that thought with all those really uncomfortable feels in there. And we're going to separate them just like you would separate an egg yolk and an egg white. And we're going to slowly pull all of the feelings out of the thought. And it doesn't really matter whether that's a little feeling or a big feeling that you have about that thought, but we're going to separate them, pull them out, and we're just going to put all the feelings off to the left. Just put them off to the left. Put them over there. Now that thought should be neutral, should be empty. And if it's not, just keep practicing. Keep pulling that shit out. Because that thought, in and of itself, is just a thing. And now when you've pulled out all that you needed to have pulled out, that you had felt about that thought, here is where I want you to consider something different. What is the opposite of all that? Or maybe you just keep it neutral. That thing over there, those feelings, they're legitimate. They're real. Maybe you need to consider a different way to feel, but what would it be like if you could keep that thought just neutral for a moment? What would this do for you? How might this help you? And then what? And what benefit might this bring? And how would life be different if that thought were now neutral? Now, my client today, she was dealing again with a lot of unknowns. Unknowns about her job, about her community, all these different things. And I asked her, you know, often when there's unknowns, when there's uncertainty, there's also opportunity. It's been this way historically. And none of us really like change, but those of us who really thrive and learn to make it through that change we didn't want, it's because we learn to be a bit more adaptable, a bit more flexible. And this really comes from focusing on the opportunities that are still there for us, even in uncertainty. So whatever your issue is, now I want you to put a different feeling inside that thought. And as you put a different feeling inside there, why, it's just going to feel different. And when it feels different, not just neutral, but better, hopeful, positive, whatever it is, just notice how that feels different. Yeah. And practice this. Thought ball. And the truth is, you don't need a ball. You can do this with anything. Or you can just, give yourself permission to say, this is what I am feeling about that thought. Pull it up. Give it a color, a quality, a texture, a feeling, a metaphor, a symbol, and then move it off to the left. Just tell yourself I can leave it off to one side for a minute. And then bring in how you want to feel. Even if it's just neutral, any way that your mind can see to make it hopeful or better. Give that a color, quality, or texture and put that inside. And you will feel something different. Because it's a law of the mind that two opposite emotions and feelings cannot be felt at the same time. We can go back and forth really quickly between the two, or we can stop and choose how we want to feel about that thought. Okay, I trust you found this helpful. If you do, then you know what? Like and subscribe. I've got my YouTube channel. If you're not seeing this from my YouTube channel, you can find me at the G-Spot Hypnotherapy on YouTube. I'm HypnoG at TikTok and Instagram. Follow me for more helpful tips and tricks to how to pull your mind out of a negative trance that you may have put yourself in. In the meantime, happy thoughts.